Welcome back to chapter 97 of finding an oil starvation issue, fixing the oil starvation issue, tearing the engine down, putting the engine back together. Right now we're on the put the intake manifold back on step. So that's what we're going to do today. What you want to do first is make sure you've prepped everything, you've got all your surfaces clean. Then what you want to do is make sure at the same time all of your intake passages are clean, all your surfaces are clean and dry. Then all these kits come with a brand new intake manifold gasket. It comes flat and you make it into a nice little 60-degree V shape with the perforations. The old one, here's the difference. The old one had a cork gasket set on each end where it seals. The new one does not. The new one just uses black silicone. That's fine. If they're okay with it, I'm okay with it. So that's what we're going to do. On this intake, you have studs on each end. There's a hole in the gasket, so it's pretty stupid simple to line up. And then as you notice, at the end, here and here, this is where the RTV is going to go. Make sure you get it right where it meets the gasket really good. I really wish this still came with a cork gasket, but the RTV, use RTV for the ends. So sure, whatever. That's all I got. That's all I got, I guess. So, and I'm a bit of a weirdo. I'm going to go a little bit around the coolant passages. There. Used all the RTV that came with it, which I don't know if you're supposed to, but I did. Okay, now intake manifold, and it again also has lines on the studs. There we go, that's on there. And then drop it down. Why is it? I've got a bolt in the way. Make sure you get all your bolts and things out of the way. It's going to help you drop it down. We're good? Let's get some bolts in here. As always, start running them down with your fingers so you don't cross-thread anything and you make sure everything's lined up. 2 studs, one on each end. Then the closest bolt to that is shorter than the rest of them. Then the other 4 are all the same. So 4 long, 2 short, and 2 studs. And I don't know why they're a weird color of blue. I don't know if the guy painted the bolts. I don't know if it's a Ford thing. But it's freaking weird, and it's got blue bolts. So, whatever. These are going to be 13 millimeter. And again, sort of do an X pattern. I'm sure there's a torque for these. My torque for these is just going to be tight. So, alright, I'm pretty happy with that. We're good. Next, I should probably drop that distributor in with nothing else in the way. Should be pretty stupid simple. Sometimes this cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. Especially since they have an oil pump drive that has its own little sort of dowel in it. Sometimes they're finicky with getting put in. What's stopping me is that oil pump drive. It's just, it wants to fight me the whole time. So maybe that won't be the next thing we put. So now we've come to the point where we need to put our harmonic balancer and our crank pulley back on here. So you can see, this is a keyed crank again. There's the key for it. The key is still in there. We've got our new seal. I should probably put a little bit of oil on that new seal. I probably will. Set you back down over here. Make sure you can see what we're doing. And we'll get started putting this back in. I put a little bit of oil just on the end of the harmonic balancer instead of trying to get my fingers in there. Can't even really see it, which is great, you know. Not that you need to see what you're doing at all, ever, right? Thanks, FOMOCO. There we go. You can feel it when it won't turn anymore that it's on that keyway. Mallet seems to be working. Maybe just finish up with this. Almost. You heard that hit? That solid sound? That means that is lined up. And these belts are lined up perfectly. That's good to go. I know my head was probably in the way for all that. Sorry. We'll go on this crank bolt. That goes all the way in. Alright, so it's turning the motor a little bit. That's fine. I've not checked what foot-pounds is yet for tightening this. It's usually a lot. But what I want to do right now is just sort of get something jammed in here so I can get it more than snug. I don't want it backing off at all right now. Oh! That didn't work at all. Not yet. Got my hand in the way of my other hand. And when you have one hand in the way of the other hand, well, that's just no good. And don't use your timing marks as a pry point. That'd be bad. You're just going to change those timing marks. And nobody wants that. Especially not your engine. There we go. All right. That's probably about 40 foot-pounds. Just by my guesstimate before that screwdriver slipped. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's rated for 40 pounds of slippage. We're good. I'm not going to worry about putting the pulley on yet because all I really want to do is drop that distributor down in, and I needed to put this on to do it. So this is on. The engine's actually wiggled a little bit. Let's try for the distributor again, shall we? I've got the engine rotated a little bit. Now I'm trying to get this distributor to mesh, and again the problem is that oil pump drive is just a pain. That's all the way down, however it's pointing in the wrong direction, so I need to back it off a tooth or two if I can keep the oil pump drive connected while I do it. Oh, that's gonna be really close. Nailed it. The way that drops down in, you have camshaft right here, there's a gear on the end of the camshaft, and then obviously at a 90-degree angle, you have the gear for that distributor. Those teeth have to mesh, so you can turn the engine a little bit, and that will help mesh since it's a spiral cut gear. It'll help mesh on the distributor. However, this has a rod that comes off the oil pump and comes up to the distributor, and that's what turns the oil pump. Well, it's not like a press fit, it's not sleeved, there's no bushing, so once you pull the distributor, that rod doesn't stay in the middle, it just leans to one side. So now what you're trying to do is you're trying to drop a distributor down here and push this rod into the middle in the right shape where it'll mesh, because it is a hex. It's just like an Allen head on the bottom. So you're trying to get it turned the right way so it'll actually mesh. Meanwhile, you're trying to get the distributor gear to mesh. Meanwhile, you're trying to get this to point at your number one spot. It's just, it's horrible. It's horrible. It makes, I don't even know. It sucks. It takes a long time. And you really got to get a feel for it. And I probably still did it wrong, but hey, we'll find out later. Moving on. I should probably at least put the bolt in for the distributor to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I can't even get my hand down here to get to this distributor bolt that I know goes right meow. Nope, not quite. And stupid air tube in the way. Stupid emissions air tube. Frustration setting in. Okay. Distributor hold down is on. It is not tight because I'm going to need to set the timing by turning that. That's how you're going to advance or retard it. So, real quick lesson. This engine turns clockwise this way. So, if I want to advance the timing, I want to go against that so that the terminal that I need is going to get to spark sooner. Just think about basically driving towards each other. You know, the old junior high and high school math problems. You know, I leave Topeka, Kansas at 12:13 and you leave Chicago at 12:30. You know, when do we meet and do we really stop at Waffle House? Those questions. Yeah, it's those. So if this is going clockwise, if you want to advance your timing, you bring it counterclockwise so the tower meets it sooner. If you want to retard it, you want to move it away so it's chasing it. Really quick lesson. Hopefully that worked. I don't know. I should probably put that other rocker shaft on before we forget, huh? Okay. Just like we did the other day. This is our splash pan, oil pan Ted. Just like the other side. Carefully put this on. We'll start hand threading it first. And go ahead and push your rocker arms back so that they hold these push rods in place. Right about there, this entire operation fell apart. For some reason, my microphone turned off. I had no idea. I kept yapping. I kept working. I didn't check anything. Didn't stop, take a break. So about a half hour of materials lost that I could have edited down. But let me give you the gist of it. Valve covers went on, and the big important thing with the valve covers is do not over tighten them. It's a cork gasket. You don't need 50 kinds of sealant. If you do a dry cork gasket on nice, flat, stamped steel valve covers and you don't over tighten them, they won't leak and they'll come on and off much easier. It'll make life grand. So go ahead and do that. Also, with the valve covers, this little wingy piece here, it's sort of a wing-shaped washer. That goes on the bottom set because if oil's gonna leak, it's gonna leak down this way. It's not gonna leak up top. So these top bolts don't have them. So important note, the little wingy pieces go on the bottom. After that, really, all we did was drop this EGR spacer plate on and the phenolic resin spacer. And then this, for some reason, had dropped way down. I had to fish it out and drop it back down from the top. That's really all you missed. However, you know, it's always frustrating when things go south and you don't know about it till later. The things left to do are alternator, power steering pump, AC. Those go back on. All the hoses go back on. I'm gonna have to hook up all the vacuum lines. Distributor cap, plug wires are gonna go back on. We're gonna have to fill and bleed the coolant system, which on these can be a pain. But we'll get to that on another date. Today, after the microphone fiasco, I'm beat, I'm done. I'm not gonna start it over and try to do any more. So that's it for today. Sorry about the screw up, and hopefully we'll see you next time.